Hey guys, Tim here with a little bit of a programming note. This episode was originally recorded as part of a full episode that we were going to release next week at our normal time. But we decided that since it contained the holiday guide and a great interview with Victoria Keene from EmbRUDEry, that we would like to get it out before the holidays and before Black Friday so you guys could take advantage of some of the Black Friday deals that a lot of these online retailers are having. So we are going to release this episode as a minisode. And next week, we will have the remainder of the episode as a normal show, maybe a little bit shorter than you're used to, but we'll also have our December disc memorment as a bonus. So look forward to those next week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Okay, well, so we'll kick things off with the guest of our upcoming interview, which you'll hear right after our holiday gift guide, and that is Victoria Keene from the EmbRUDEry store. Handmade embroidery and gifts for grown-ups and big kids. This is not your grandma's embroidery. So if you ever wanted to see some embroidery, I have a hard time saying that word, embroidery.
I know, I can't say it either, yeah.
Needlework, but with an adult horror twist, you've got to check this site out. We'll post these the links to these in the show notes for all of our holiday gift guides, and she also mentions it in our upcoming interview. But these things are just absolutely outstanding. So, and that's kind of a niche market, right? You don't typically associate sewing and needlepoint and stuff with horror, but
unless you're being stabbed with it, stabbed with the needle.
But there's some really cool stuff out there. I've as I mentioned in the interview, I've actually seen some horror cross-stitch designs, which I'm really kind of interested in. So go check out her shop. It is really, really super cool.
Yeah, and you'll hear in the interview too. She's like a true horror fan, so it's like such a labor of love to get that stuff out.
Yes,
she really loves it. And so the next one we have, of course, is our good friends Tony and Lori over at Ghost Girl Greetings, and they are, I'll tell you, they are one of the businesses I think that have just managed to they make their big thing at the cons, and without the cons, it was probably a little more difficult for them, but they were such a good social media presence, and they just continue to churn out some amazing things. Even their latest, I'm not even going to tell you because I want you guys to be surprised. Look at their page though, the Ghost Girl Greetings on Instagram too, and look at their new Art the Clown card, which is a work of genius. It is so clever and so if you're a fan of Terrifier and Art the Clown, you'll get it, and anyone else will just think it's kind of like a funny little Thanksgiving card. But the thought behind it, we've had them on the show, and we consider them such good friends. They are just amazing ladies, and they put out some of the greatest stuff. So and they do prints too and cards. But if you want to get like holiday cards for your horror fan or pop culture stuff, or some nice prints or some they do wrapping paper. They do everything you could want for a holiday. So definitely check them out as well. And they're at Ghost Girl Greetings. I know we've mentioned them tons of times before, and we always like to share their stuff because Tony and Lori are really awesome people. So that's definitely one to check out for the holidays.
Next up, we have House of Mysterious Secrets, and this is such a cool site. I mean, if I had unlimited funds, I would just shop here because they have everything: action figures, horror merchandise, creep show face mask.
Yeah, that's where I got my Shining face covering, actually. Yeah. Early on in the pandemic, I got that Shining carpet mask.
I mean, just cool. so many cool horror related things. I mean, this is like a horror pop culture type person's dream site. All the stuff that everything on the site. I went to their front page, and I would like to own every single thing on the front page of their site. I can't afford it, but yeah. I would love to own any of it. If you gave it to me as a gift, I would be thrilled. So go check out houseofmysteriousSecrets.com. They have some really, really cool items.
Yeah, the guy Kevin there, he's really good too. Because when I ordered stuff, I'd asked him like when it was, he's really good at getting back to you if it ships, and he's really good social media presence. So follow them on Instagram too. They showcase a lot of their products, which is great. Next one, I think we featured them last year as well. This place,
Yeah.
but I think it deserves definitely a second guess. And I saw Cody actually had put this in on the Sammy Stay Alive group too, and I was like, I remember these guys, so of course we wanted to put these on, and that's Horror Ornament. I'm gonna spit. No, it's Horror Ornaments. Horror Ornaments, and it's mostly. I think they have a couple of licensed things, but it's mostly original, unlicensed stuff that kind of like, almost replicate licensed items and some original stuff. And it's just, if you want a horror tree, you don't need to go anywhere else. They have such incredible original and cool designs. They even sell like a full tree that comes with the ornaments, like a cool horror themed tree. But if you just want to decorate your own tree with a lot of horror stuff, this is definitely the place to check this out. And they're like Horror Ornaments. If you could say the name, that's half the battle. Yeah. I think you get 20% off. No, don't say that. I'm just kidding. It's not that hard to say. It's just me. I can't speak. Okay.
All right. So next up is a company I found out this year. Only because of Joe Bob.
Tim's favorite.
Yeah, Creepy Co. So they're at creepycompany.com, and these are the guys I ordered my Joe Bob featured pajamas, Halloween retro pajamas from, and they're fantastic. Their stuff is the I can't speak to everything they sell because I've only bought the pajamas, but they are really good quality. I mean, they are fantastic. They are by far my favorite pair of pajamas, and I was a huge fan of their checkout process, shipping, everything went flawless. So check them out. They have a bunch of really cool things, and not just pajamas. They have a wide variety of horror related merchandise, but their apparel line is very unique. They have a lot of those, like, I guess you call them like Hawaiian style, like button up shirts, but with different horror logos and things all over them. So if you like that kind of stuff, they're one of the best sites for that kind of niche apparel type stuff, I guess. I mean, it's not just t-shirts and things. It's pajama sets and button-up tops and stuff like that are still horror themed.
Oh, cool. The next one is one that any horror fan is very familiar with, and that's, of course, Fright Rags. They have everything as well. They have, amazing shirts. And like every week they're releasing like a new line from your movie. And they don't just do let's say Halloween. No, they'll do Halloween 2, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. They'll do like specific movie line. They don't just take the whole franchise. So they really do a good job. And of course they have the Joe Bob exclusive figures. I managed to get the 2 of them. I got my Halloween Hootenanny one. Was on its way, I found out. Which is cool. That was like a variant with him wearing that cool jacket. And they also that's where they that came out with that really exclusive Halloween nano figure set, which I still need to open up and share with you guys. I just haven't had the time. Again, little Obi takes a lot of time. And that's the last thing I want to do is leave out little mini figures for him to devour. So I need to get a place saved on my shelf for that. I need to space that out. But I mean, there's really not much to say about Fright Rags because I'm sure you're all familiar with it. But any horror fan, just that's almost like their mothership you can go to for horror merch.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of following up on that, another great shirt shop for horror fans is Terror Threads, which is at terrorthreads.com, and they also have pins, posters, and stuff. So if you like horror shirts, those 2 sites are just anything you could ever possibly want in terms of a particular horror movie. If there is a shirt of it, it probably exists on one of those 2 sites.
Yeah, pretty much. You can pretty much find it on either one of those. I have shirts from each. Yeah. Proudly my collection. Next one is cool. This one is of course Etsy. Just in general is a great spot to find some merchandise. One of the ones specifically shop that we have another one coming up later, but this one is Cranks Occult. On Etsy, and this guy is like a Ghostbusters themed merchandise store, and I found out about him from our good friend Victoria from EmbRUDEry. Actually, she shared some stuff on Instagram, and I went to his site, and he's got a really cool Ghostbusters stuff. So Tim and I, of course, are a huge fan of Ghostbusters, as I know a lot of people are. So definitely check his shop out on Etsy. It's called Cranks Occult. he has another name on Instagram, but which we will get to you later. But yeah, just look up Cranks Occult on Etsy, and you'll see a lot of cool merch.
All right, so next up is Dumbgood at dumbgood.com, and this is another site that has a little bit of everything for your horror needs. There are horror and pop culture clothing, and they also have collectible figures and toys and games and all kinds of stuff. But I really like this site because, I read the wrong one. Let me scratch that. I was reading the Toy NK description.
Okay.
All right, let me start that over. Next up is Dumbgood, and they sell horror and pop culture clothing, and this is a really cool site. They actually have some stuff that kind of strays outside of horror as well, like Fight Club and Twin Peaks. Brian, they had some Twin Peaks shirts and stuff on there.
I did see that.
They have some other things besides clothing. They're primarily clothing, but they have some really kind of niche licenses and IPs that are really cool. And like I said, they kind of stray outside of horror as well. They got a really cool The Shining hoodie, which is the yellow book cover that I got the shirt of. They have actually a hoodie version of that. So all kinds of really cool stuff there. Go check out their site. They're not exclusively horror, which is kind of why I like browsing through their stuff, because they kind of stray out into other aspects of pop culture.
Yeah, the next one is kind of similar too. This one is, it's funny. I always like when I see this site, the name of this place, I always think of that time when that I know is really going to go a little obscure here from horror, but when in that episode of Friends, I think it was the one where Phoebe was trying to figure out the thing, and she called it a 401 instead of a 401k. And this is Toy NK, but if you look at it, it's like Toink. But yeah, this is like a pop culture geek heaven. I mean, they have collectible figures, toys, games, costumes, apparel, houseware.
Oh my god!
And it's basically after everything you can find in TV, movie, gaming, anime, or comic books. So this is one of those stores where Tim and I will go in there and we'll see you like in 3 days when we're done searching through it. But yeah, so that's what I love about this time of year, though, because you really find shops like because they heavily advertise, on social media.
And usually have great Black Friday sales too.
Yeah, and which is exactly why we try and get this episode out when we do, because we don't want you to miss any of it, because we'll be out there looking ourselves.
Next up is a great one, Geeky Tikis. So we know that tiki bars are really popular right now, and
I mean, we have two friends that actually are. One has an amazing tiki bar, and one is building one.
Yeah, and I'm not putting it past that I won't build one eventually in the new place, but. These guys have some just fantastic like pop culture type tiki stuff. So it's like cool tiki glasses and shirts and all kinds of little things for your tiki bar that bend more towards the pop culture side of things. And I remember one of the conventions I went to, which was I think the one I went to in Charlotte, Brian, they had a vendor. I don't know if it was this particular vendor, but had horror themed tiki glasses that were just super, super cool. So I love the whole idea of. They even have like on their front page of their site, they have a whole set of Golden Girls tiki glasses. I mean, how can you pass that up?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like that's why you have like the because then you can reenact like the Estelle Getty
yeah.
It was 1920s Sicily. I had a tiki glass and it broke. I was looking forever, Rose.
But these guys are great.
Probably the worst Estelle Getty ever, but yeah.
But these guys are great because they have like some officially licensed stuff. So they
have Star Wars in there. Star Wars, I mean, which is like the golden license really to have.
Yeah, they even have like a set of 4 Kiss tiki glasses, which is so cool.
Well, Kiss is like the easiest license to get. I think you just kind of like say, hi, we'd like, and then before you even finish your sentence, you're like, sold.
I think you just send them an email.
Yeah, you just tell them, say, by the way, I'm so-and-so, and he's like, you're selling something?
Yes.
Kiss license. Granted. But, that was actually a joke that Howard Stern used to do. They used to have when Gene Simmons would come on.
Yeah,
like he would come on, and then they had the fake Gene Simmons where he'd go like, "We'd like to tell you about a new." I'm not doing it well, but he's like, of course we got the Kiss coffin. We have a Kiss, a shawl we have for your Kiss fans that are grandmothers. Like they literally will market everything, and they always have, which is great. I mean, they are a marketing machine. Yeah,
that's what they are. That is their whole thing. Like, yeah, and I love it. I like that.
I love everything about it. Kiss was my favorite band growing up. It probably, I dressed as Ace Frehley for Halloween. I think I told this story once. I had the Kiss action figures, the originals as a kid. I had every album. I watched their concerts. So yeah, I'm all about Kiss. So like this, that is not a making fun of out of like making fun of. That is a labor of love of mine is Kiss. So, next one is, this one's a cool one.
My
it's
gosh.
Middle of Beyond. Have you seen these, Tim? These are so cool. What I love about this is they feature like more unique articles of clothing. Like they have those old, like almost like the Letterman jackets. Like
my gosh, these guys,
from school.
I guess maybe varsity jackets.
Varsity, that's it. Yeah, it's perfect.
They have these varsity jackets that are incredible. I want this Halloween one. Although the only thing that kind of freaks me out about it is it has 2 pumpkins where the boobs would be, and I'm kind of weirded out about that. But it's a really cool jacket. Otherwise,
it's neat. Yeah, and they're like they do that like merch. Like they have those jackets. They have like the ugly sweaters, like you might see like on some other shops sometimes. But they have a big assortment on them. They have flannel shirts.
They have a
so it's like.
They have a Big Trouble in Little China button-up shirt.
I saw that. That is one of their licenses that they own. I'm like, oh my god, Tim is gonna flip out when he sees this site.
Yeah, they have some super
cool that's
stuff.
Middle of Beyond. That is definitely one. And that's a great name for their site too. Like a store, Middle of Beyond, because it like is. It's like you're kind of in the. It's like perfect. You're in the middle of like beyond what you'd expect, but you're in the middle of everything at the same time. It's like such a cool idea.
Where else are you gonna get a Texas Chainsaw Massacre short sleeve button-up shirt? I mean, come on. For the horror fan who has everything, that's a great. I mean, those would make fantastic gifts, something like that. Because where are they going to buy that? They're not.
Yeah, and it's not something someone would go out most likely, other than Tim and I, buy ourselves. Yeah. But that's like the perfect. You're something for a horror fan that you just like. What the hell am I going to get him? Well, there you go. Definitely check out this site because you'll find stuff that I guarantee you they have not. You don't see everywhere, which is what's cool.
Yeah. All right. Next up is that Caroline or Carolyn? How's she pronounced?
I think it's. Well, how do they say it in Host? Because it's the same way.
I think
it's Caroline. They say Caroline.
Caroline. Okay. Next up is Caroline's Characters, cute cards featuring original characters created by Caroline Ward, and these are a lot of fun. This is on Etsy, and another one of our Etsy featured sites, and these are cute little cards with a really unique, custom created characters that are really, really funny, and I love the style of these. They're not necessarily particularly horror related.
No, they're not. It's just because she was in Host, so it's like that's why we wanted to feature it. We mentioned it before, but we wanted to give her another promo for the holidays because just as like I mean, she's so cool too. She was like so grateful that we shared her on the show, so we wanted to definitely mention her again.
But can you imagine? I mean, but how cool is that for a horror fan? Even if it's not a horror related card, to get a card by somebody who was in such a fantastic horror movie. So
I mean,
that's
like
thing
that's
in
like
and of itself.
Yeah, like you could now you have like original artwork by someone that was in one of a lot of people's favorite movies of the year for horror. So that's I mean, how do you beat that? I guess the next one we'll do. This is just a global thing. Of course, another little gift idea, which we mention every year, and this is a no-brainer too. If you're really struggling, if someone maybe they're limited on space or that, you can always get them like a subscription to one of the amazing streaming services out there. Now, of course, our pick would be Shudder, but if they already have Shudder, which hopefully everyone does at this point, if they're a horror fan, maybe you'll get them one of the other ones, like an HBO Max, which has actually a nice selection of horror movies on there. They still have that movie House on there, that Hausu, as they would say, in the Japan, let me say that again, or Hausu as it's known in Japan. That's like a great, great idea. You can either get Netflix. I mean, Prime is definitely expensive because it comes in that whole big package, but it depends where they're in. But which one is another great one that kind of snuck up and we didn't really mention it that much is the Arrow streaming service now that came out.
Yeah.
They have some crazy amount of stuff on there that you won't find anywhere else.
Oh, and also I would mention the Full Moon has their own streaming service.
Oh, right. Full Moon. I mean, some of their stuff gets to Tubi, but yeah, if you want the full assortment.
And I think Troma even has a streaming service now. So any of those, those unique ones would be really cool because that's something people might not normally buy for themselves. But like a year's subscription to something like the Troma service or something for those horror fans that are into that sort of thing, that to me would be really cool because that's not something I would necessarily maybe buy myself, but I would love to see it. The other thing I mentioned, Brian, is magazine subscriptions because
Right.
Like for instance, Fangoria, I just got a newsletter that they have a 30% discount code for their annual subscription this week. So you could get a whole subscription for like $55, and it's normally like $80. So yeah, those kind of things. There's other magazines out there besides Fangoria, of course. There's Rue Morgue. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones offhand, but those can get pretty pricey. So I would love to have a subscription to some of those horror magazines that are I see in the bookstores, but are always a little bit too pricey for me to warrant spending on myself. But as a gift, I think it'd be great.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so I think the final one we'll mention, of course, is our own store. I mean, it sounds cheesy to kind of mention our own thing, but remember, there is Civil Gore merch out there if you want to get.
We even have shower curtains.
I know. Do you want Cody to be the only one with a Civil Gore shower curtain? And we actually added some new stuff. We added, the neck gaiter masks too. That just got out there, and there's now also and blank greeting cards. I mean, they're kind of boring. They just have our logo on it, but in case you want to just, all those Civil Gore fans out there, they're just dying to send a card out with our logo on it. there's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's we know our shop was made just for fun, for people that like that actually like Tim and I doing this podcast, and they may want to rep our brand a little bit,
and it helps support the show because any money we make off the store goes directly back into paying for hosting, and there's the podcast hosting and the website hosting are our two primary expenses. So anything we make off the store just goes directly back into it. We don't make any profit.
Yeah, I mean, because literally we've been hemorrhaging money for 4 years, so it's fine. We're okay with it. We love doing it.
Yeah, we're like the dog sitting in the fire. This is fine. That's us hemorrhaging money.
Yeah. This is just we're just sitting there, or like the Kermit with the sip. Well, we might be putting hundreds of dollars into this podcast and not getting any back. That's okay with me.
But it's all good. It's a labor of love, right?
Yes, it is. We enjoy it. We feel invigorated when we do it. We have met the most amazing people, of course, through this podcast. So yeah, that's good. So that's our holiday gift guide for 2020, in a year where. You know what? There's a saying there. I saw Kelly Maroney posted it, and a lot of people have been posting this, and I actually do love it. It's that thing where it said, "This is not the year to give, to get stuff you want, but to be thankful for the stuff you have." And and while that rings true more than anything, especially in this year, with where there's so many losses and so much sadness in the world, at Thanksgiving, of course, it's a time to be thankful for what you have. So that's I love that sentence. But, of course, it does feel good to me. I always feel good. I always enjoy giving gifts more than I do getting anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, my most exciting thing on, like, the holidays is when I see someone open a present that I've given them,
And also this year, we kind of wanted to highlight, I know we've got some bigger companies on here, but we do want to try to urge people to go to some of the smaller mom and pop type businesses and smaller indie businesses, because this year has been the hardest on them. I mean, Walmart's not going bankrupt because of the pandemic, and Target's not going bankrupt because of the pandemic. But
Amazon sure isn't.
Yeah, Amazon definitely isn't. But these people that make their money off conventions and traveling and selling their stuff and having to publicize it themselves. Those are the people that are really, really hurting and could use our business this holiday season. So I would urge everybody, if you can, and I know you can't get everything through the smaller mom and pop businesses, but if you can, try to help out where you can and help these smaller shop store owners kind of survive this year and get through to 2021. And I know for our part, my family, we're going to be doing a lot more, smaller businesses and maybe hand making some stuff. Like Olivia's knitting some pot holder type stuff that she knits and embroiders. I mean, not embroiders, but let me say that again. Making some pot holder type things that she knits. So that kind of thing. Just doing some things to maybe kind of help out the small guys this holiday.
Yeah. And even if you do end up, like, there's certain things that you might like, if you just want certain gifts that, you're not available in the small things, but I've ordered a couple things from Best Buy. Every time, what I love about ordering from Best Buy this holiday season is because I donate a couple bucks every single order to St. Jude's that they can tack on. And I think Amazon has its own charities you can do,
Yep.
you sign up on, and I think PayPal even has a thing. So even when you, so like ordered, you can order something from Etsy or Pinterest or something, one of those sites. If you pay by PayPal, which a lot of them prefer, you can usually add like $1 to some kind of charity through that too. So always look for that as well, because I always like to donate. Even if it's like $2 every time. Like, I know for me, if I do $2 at Best Buy every time, that's still going to add up to like $50 with what I spend at the holiday season.
Yeah. So let's get to our interview with Victoria Keene from EmbRUDEry. I had a fantastic time talking to her, and it was so great for her to come on the show and share a little bit about her shop. I think you guys will really enjoy this one.
With the biggest shopping day of the season upon us, and with online shopping at its zenith, we wanted to showcase one of the coolest online shops we've seen. With us today is Victoria Keene, who runs the amazing EmbRUDEry shop, and we are so excited to talk to her all about her amazing design. So welcome to the show, Victoria.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here. It's great.
Victoria, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We usually like to have our guests kind of describe what we call their origin story.
My origin story. So way back, I used to run an online shop years ago, and I sell fair trade clothing. And I enjoyed doing it, but I just wanted to do something artistic. So I started painting and knitting and crocheting, which sounds a bit boring and granny-ish, but I kind of funked it up a little bit. And then in January of this year, I decided that I didn't have enough space to do any of the stuff that I actually really want to do painting wise. So I thought I'd take up embroidery because, it's kind of like you don't need a lot of space for it. And so that's where I started, really. So in January this year, and then obviously I had loads of time to practice because the pandemic came in and lockdown after lockdown after lockdown came in. So that's where it all stemmed from, I suppose, in the beginning.
Yeah, it's funny how many businesses have spawned from the time people finally had now.
It's amazing. It's just amazing seeing people go from thinking that they're not creative and then suddenly to just setting up their own businesses, and their businesses are all doing so well. It's just so lovely to see it all over social media and things. It's brilliant. It's really good.
Yeah, that was so great. That's how we actually found you, because I think you talked to us. We were talking to you about the horror challenge, but then I noticed your shop on stuff, and I was like, I'm like, Tim, did you see this stuff? This is really cool, because you had some of the. I think I saw your Happy Spookies thing first, and then I saw your the thing you did for the nun, which was really cool. But
I was gonna say, it was kind of just the horror thing just inspires me so much. Like, I love horror fan art, and I thought I needed to do something a bit different with it. So that's why I wanted to start doing it. And the nun was like a massive achievement for me. I really enjoyed doing that. It's brilliant.
Yeah, that one was fantastic. I mean, they all are, but that one was like particularly really cool because you don't see that much like nun merchandise out there. So that was kind of cool,
I know the film's not the best. I know it's not the best, but I'll take the Conjuring franchise any day. I love the franchise. I love the fact that it's made horror so mainstream. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it really is. That's one of the things we're gonna focus on. We're gonna have a whole summer for our summer Slaycation series. We're gonna have a the Conjuring universe one. We're coming up, but I think we're gonna wait until at least Conjuring 3 comes out. So maybe possibly next year. By the time it's out, we'll be able to do that one. So one of the things before, I mean, I know you do. You're a very creative person here, and I read there that you actually were a writer at one point. And you published some books.
Well, I'm still trying to write, but I keep getting distracted by doing other things, really. So I published a children's book on Amazon, which is basically just a really long, funny poem about a platypus. But I actually write a little bit of horror as well. So I've had a couple of short horror stories that have been published, but I'm working on a novel, but obviously it's kind of taken a bit of a back seat at the moment. But yeah, hopefully at some point I'll be able to get that finished as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I know you will have an audience for Tim for sure. I'd love to get that. I'm just not as good of a reader as Tim. Tim's a big reader.
Yeah, I try to write too. I have not gotten anything published yet. I'm working on a short story that I've been working on for a year now. So it's
I think the longer you
struggle.
work on it, the better it's going to be.
I'm great at starting stories. I'm not great at finishing them. That's the problem.
I think that's every writer's problem.
Yeah. So let's talk about the store a little bit. How did you come up with the name EmbRUDEry, and how would you kind of describe what it offers?
So it's basically embroidery for grown-ups, and I think the whole adding the rude in there made it kind of obvious to people that it was going to be something that was a little bit out there and a little bit weird. So yeah, I think the name just sort of came to me one day and I thought, yeah, I'm going to go with that. And it's embroidery for, you know, grown-ups. It's a bit more mature, but it's just not your grandma's embroidery, which is my tagline. It's absolutely not at all. You know, it's something a little bit different, a little bit quirky. I'm hoping to add some of my other art in there at some point as well, so maybe some acrylic paintings and things. But yeah, it's just fun, funky, quirky stuff, and it's all handmade, so it's nice to give to people as gifts and things.
That's super cool.
That.
I actually cross stitch. Believe it or not, my mom taught me how to cross stitch when I was a little fella, and so I've done various cross stitch designs over the years. But I've actually seen some, I've seen some horror cross stitch designs that I've always kind of wanted to tackle that people put out on Etsy and stuff that just looked really, really cool. But yeah,
you need to do them. You need to do them. There are loads of men that do embroidery and cross stitch and things, and do you know what? Some of their designs are just outstanding. They're really, really good.
It's fun. It's you know, it's time consuming, but it's one of those relaxing things you could do and not look at a screen. And I really like that relaxation aspect of it.
Yeah, it's really zen, isn't it, while you're doing it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel so like left out. I can't even do it. I don't think I'd have to pay. I think I'd have to still prop my phone up. It's terrible. I'd have to like something.
Well, see, the bad thing is now I'm getting older, and now my eyes are like, it's harder and harder to see the little squares.
Oh, mine are the same. I have a little magnifying lamp and the lights all on.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I do love too your tagline, because that is perfect. Because most people, when they hear about like a cross stitch or a knitting or something, they immediately picture this silver-haired little grandma in like a shawl in the corner chair, and it's so funny. Like, but I can't imagine one of those grandmothers doing the stuff you did, because yours is like really, like you have some great horror stuff there. So that's actually was perfect segue in there. So we know that you're a big horror fan. So was that always going to be the main focus when you went in to do this shop?
Initially, no, but I think just all of my initial ideas just happened to be horror. I mean, I literally like live horror. I watched so many horror movies now. I have to log them all on Letterboxd, because otherwise I just don't know what I've watched before. I'm like, have I seen this? I don't know. So yeah, I think it wasn't initially just going to be aimed at horror, but I think my current ideas that I've got, I need to get them out, and they're all horror related at the moment. So I'm just going to keep rolling with it. It works. So.
Now you do. I think I remember I saw this. You'll do like commission work too, right? If somebody sends you design. Okay, so yeah. Well, now with the way I think you're out on the in the horror community, I think you're going to get a lot of requests probably soon enough there for more horror. It's going to totally sway over to like pure horror.
So, I need more hands.
So kind of walk us through the design process. So when you think of an idea, how does that go from being in your head to becoming a finished product?
Basically, my design process is really simple. I literally just draw it on a piece of paper. If I like it, I transfer it onto the fabric, and then I just kind of just see how it progresses whilst I'm doing it, if that makes sense. So I have a color scheme in mind that I want to use, and then while I'm doing it, I'm checking the light and the shadows and things as I'm actually doing the piece, rather than have a finished piece in my mind. I think I'm like that with pretty much all of my artwork. You know, I like to I just get stuck in and then see how it progresses and see how it turns out in the end, rather than just have a set plan in mind, because obviously things go wrong. You know, you need to know how to correct them. So I'd rather kind of just learn as I'm going and just go through it like that. So yeah, it's just basically translating it from paper into colors and onto fabric, really. So pretty simple process, but then once you get started, that's when it gets complicated with all of the shading. And
now, how long does it usually take you to finish a piece?
Oh, at the moment it's taking me quite a while. So I'm working on a Krampus at the moment, and because I'm doing other stuff in the meantime as well. I'm really looking forward to seeing him. I've got some really good ideas for kind of making him a bit more three-dimensional. But he's taken a little while, but I'm doing such tiny stitches. So it's, just doing one little section is taking me, a couple of hours at a time. So I try not to add it up, because then I think, oh God, I've just spent so long doing this. Is it worth finishing?
But it's worth it. I mean, yeah, and we're sorry about my excitement over it, but Tim and I are huge fans of that movie, Krampus. So we,
I loved it.
we had to do that. But you know what though? You're just from the samples I've seen. I know I haven't yet seen one in person, but from the images, I mean, it seems like every second you spend on it is like worth it, because it's just fantastic stuff. It really is. It just looks it's so astounding to see this stuff. But so what I guess based off of your products, and you have a wide array now. You do have some other than horror ones in there, but what do you think your best selling one was? Did you have any like repeats, or was there just one that you just thought was like, this is the best one I've done?
It was, I wouldn't say anything is the best thing I've done, because I always think that I can do better, but I think that's just a creative person's attitude anyway. But it was probably Jaws back in the summer, because it was Shark Week as well back in the summer, and Jaws seemed to go pretty well. So I think I need to make up some more of those as well at some point, but just trying to work through kind of the festive-y ones at the moment, and then maybe next spring we'll get back to a bit more Jaws again.
I know Tim's sister-in-law would want one of those.
Oh yeah, she's like the world's biggest Jaws fan.
Yeah.
I'll happily send one over, it's fine.
So this is getting away from the embroidery. What is your favorite horror movie as a horror fan?
I'm gutted that you asked me this question. It's impossible for me to answer this question. Seriously, like if I had to say now, I probably would say The Conjuring. But I think it is just because it is one of those movies that it came about at a time when horror was, for me, I felt it was on a bit of a downhill slide. And then that came out, and everybody just started watching horror. Most people, even people that aren't horror fans, will say that they've seen that movie. And that's what I love about it. It kind of brought horror back into the mainstream again, and made people aware that horror movies are actually worth watching. So I think currently that is probably my ultimate favourite. But obviously the classics, love The Shining, The Exorcist, the standard answers really. Sinister is also one of my favorites. I love that movie.
Oh yeah, that one's really good.
Yeah, The Conjuring was actually filmed close to me. A friend of mine, Tony, actually is in the movie briefly. He's one of the movers that's moving something in the house at the beginning of the film, but you only see him from the back real quick.
That's still a really cool claim to fame though.
Yeah.
Tim's trying to get himself in the movies when they film in Wilmington now.
Yeah.
I also really like The Autopsy of Jane Doe, and I found out recently that was actually filmed in a tiny village just up the road from me, which I was really surprised about.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
You can stay in the house that is in The Autopsy of Jane Doe, and it's like a bed and breakfast or something. So I might have to try and do that after lockdown has ended.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and you got to report back to us. You got to give us like some pictures and send
I will. I will totally.
Want to hear all the live excitement of it. It's funny too that I know that question. It's so funny. You would think, because I get this all the time. My dad will send me like articles on it, because he's like, you think horror fans would have this, like, what's your favorite horror movie? And like, you're just going to roll out this list. I mean, I have my set 5, but I'd say I'm pretty solid on that. My number 1 would still be, I think, the original Halloween. I think is still up there just because of what it meant to me at the time I watched it, what it's in there. But sometimes I really think 2 to 5 can sometimes flip a little depending on how recent I've seen it.
Yeah.
Or the kind of mood I'm in. And it's funny because I think horror, everyone will say every genre too, but I think horror in particular is such a personal genre. I think for the years when it wasn't mainstream, like you said, like Conjuring kind of brought it to mainstream. Some other movies have done that. But when it wasn't mainstream, and horror fans feel like they were kind of this own little spot, it became a really personal choice. And I think that's why it's almost difficult, where you think it would be easy to just like shoot them all out one by one, but it's hard because then of course we're gonna like you get 3 horror fans like us in there, we'll talk for hours on what about this movie and that movie. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. But But yeah, before we let you go, though, we want to give you one more, like a really good chance here to kind of like give your shop like a good good promotion and showcase some specific items that people may not have seen yet and that you know about, and then also let us, kind of let them know where like what they need to do if they want to order.
Okay. So basically, you can go to my website, which is www.embrudery.co.uk, and it's embroidery, EmbRUDEry, so a bit rude. And I think at the moment I've got a Michael Myers hoop on there, which I got on there because I thought the new Halloween film was coming out this year, and I thought, wow, I'm going to do that. But yeah, it didn't come out, so a bit disappointed about that. But yeah, so that little guy is still on there. I have a little Slimer on there as well. But I'm doing a shop update this week in time for Black Friday. So there will be some new items on there this week, and I've got some Nightmare Before Christmas stuff going on there as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's a great one.
It's a classic, isn't it? It's,
Yeah, well, that's great because, Tim and I also, while we're horror fans, we're also big Christmas movie fans. And so it's like when the two combined, that's like, that's like Krampus is great. Nightmare Before Christmas is great. We love all the slate of horror holiday movies. So
yeah, we had a hard time picking. We had a hard time picking our 4 we were going to do for the month of December because we usually do all Christmas themed horror movies, and there were so many. It was like we had a list of 20 movies that could potentially watch next month.
And finally, to represent me, we had a Hanukkah. Finally, we can put in there.
Yeah, so we finally got a Hanukkah in there.
I finally got my Hanukkah horror movie. I can.
So, Victoria, is there? Can people reach out to you on like social media? Do you have your Instagram, Facebook, any kind of that?
Absolutely. Just do a search for EmbRUDEry, and I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I did set up a TikTok, but I refuse to use it at the moment because I
I did one movie review on TikTok.
Yeah, we have a Civil War TikTok. It's little Tim for 30 seconds with a movie review.
And a like from my daughter. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think mine would pretty much be the same, but you can look for me on there, that's fine. So it's just the usual places really, so just give a Google for EmbRUDEry and it should come up with all my social media stuff.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on. I knew we would hit it off great because we talked to you so much through through social media and when you did the horror challenge, and it was just
I love
fun.
That challenge. I missed that challenge. You need to come up with some kind of Christmas one or something because
we toyed with that idea. We
really did.
What we're gonna do, I think, this year is we're gonna do kind of like a Christmas, like a watch along marathon one day, like on a Saturday.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, we're gonna do that, but next year, don't worry. If you like the challenge this year, I've already got my brain is spinning for the new, because it'll be our 5th anniversary of the challenge next year. So any kind of milestone, we like to kind of do something special. So I kind of have some devious ideas, I think, to make it really, really challenging for next year. So
that's brilliant. I'm looking forward to that. It'd be great.
Yeah, so everyone, definitely check out Victoria's shop. It is amazing. We'll put all the info that she gave us in the show notes too, and you'll always see us sharing stuff too, because there's just and this, hopefully you're listening to this, it's on Black Friday, you're doing your shopping and you want to get your horror or pop culture fan, or even not, if you look at her shop, there's other things on there too that just might be a great gift for someone this season. And it's good too, because we want to really support like the smaller shops, the personal shops this year, because with the pandemic, some of them have thrived, some of them need a little boost. We want to make sure that we get that out there more than anything, and especially yours, because we just absolutely love all your stuff there.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much.
So yeah, Brian, that was a fantastic interview. She's so fun to talk to, and I hope everybody goes out and takes a look at some of her stuff because it is absolutely incredible.
Oh yeah, and we like, ever since we got to kind of meet her, I put meet in quotes because we have of course not met her in person, but online, she's been such a cool person to talk to via social media, and I was so excited when she agreed to come on because we love her stuff, love her shop, and she's just a good horror fan and such a good fun person to talk to. So I'm sure this will only be the first time she's on. I'm sure she will come back on, as you'll hear as you heard in the interview how talented she is and how many future projects hopefully that we'll get to talk and share with everyone about.